Alfred Bristol was born November 1911. At the age of 20, he joined the National Guard, where he served honorably 15 years. 5 of those years were in the South Pacific during World War II as a machine gun specialist. It was in 1940 when he met the love of his life, Carolyn, known to many as Ito. They married in 1941. Alfred and Carolyn's only child was born July 1946. Their son Kim graduated from Tappan Zee High School. He went on to Ricker College, where, possessing a true Bristol trait, Kim was recognized for his leadership by winning the Trustees' Leadership Prize. Tragically, in 1967, the family lost their beloved Kim in an accident traveling home for Thanksgiving holiday. Kim's dad, Al, went on to touch the lives of countless people, whether in his civic activism in Rockland County or hobnobbing with presidents of the United States and celebrities throughout his career with Sotheby's. Alfred Bristol has made a positive difference. Rockland County and Sotheby Park Burnett Gallery had common ground in Alfred Bristol, for it was in 1967, with the efforts of many, that Al co-chaired the Art for the Mountain benefit auction to make Clausland Mountain green and free of development. The auction raised over $10,000. The mountain is now a natural park.
I first came up to Rockland County. I was a veteran, so they had Shanks Village was developed here for soldiers coming out the service, and they had places to live, and I was one of the ones that lived here and lived in a barrack. And we were 704th Street. I still remember the numbers. A great organization, because we had meetings, we had big dances here, and we just met many people who have gone off now. Or I do hear from some of them once in a while. I was on a committee that organized the carpool that would take us from here. We all meet up here at a certain area, and this carpool would take us to 120th Street in Columbia. Most of them were students at that time. I was working there. And 120th Street and at Columbia, for 25 cents going, and 25 cents we would meet there, and we were quite a group here. But most of them, they were going to school. Thence to 120th Street and Broadway, and then I would get myself down to Park Burnett in those days, Park Burnett Galleries. The people didn't like the people in Shanks Village. They used to call us communists, because we all got along so well together. We got along so together. We had our own dances, we had our own parades. We had big parades here. And I was on a committee that organized the parade.
So
Locals
to say.
did not like us. But they grew, they grew as time went on. We learned to get together. I learned to live together. There's a store up here on Western Highway. We'd all meet there at times, and we were we just got together that way. I just meet there and talk, and we learned to like each other. Paul, he was just a leader. He was very instrumental in having what we built up here. Betty Malone was the one that would organize, have youth meetings and whatnot, and that created something that was very good then. We had the youth interested also.
Kids use this to come from the other side of town to the library and to the center of town, and the Kim Bristol Bridge acts as a wonderful conduit for this kind of traffic. When I was approached on this subject, I was thinking about Al and within the context of this particular community and his role in it and how he and the community helped basically to shape each other. Tappan is a very interesting place. It's extremely old. The Europeans came here mid-17th century. And we sort of think of them as the founding fathers of Tappan, of Rockland County. But in thinking about Al and the folks that he came to Tappan with, it seems to me that they are sort of the founders of modern day Tappan. And they brought to this very old community a whole new set of ideas, a whole new energy. When people talk to me about Tappan, I always tell them, don't think of the good old days. I said, today is the good old days for Tappan. And it's a result of the work of Al and folks like Al that came here after the Second World War and found Tappan a sleepy little hamlet, and they really set about to change it. Perhaps not consciously, but through their actions, through their involvement, they have created what people see when they come to Tappan today. And when the people come to Tappan, they marvel that such a thing really exists 12 miles from the George Washington Bridge.
Al Bristol, of course, is a complete legend. I first met Al when I was 23 years old, and Sotheby's had recently purchased Park Burnett. You can imagine what it must have been like with a group of what seemed to be teenagers coming from England to take over the management of this revered American auction house. So we were not necessarily welcomed by a large number of people in Park Burnett. But from day one, Al Bristol welcomed us. He became our friend, our guide as to things American and how to proceed. And he's remained a friend of mine for the last 45 years. He really has been remarkable because he has been the glue at the center of our organization. And over the years, his acts have always been those of kindness, of openness, and of being the friend to everybody who comes within these doors, be they fellow employees or indeed for the clients. And it was the clients who really made it clear to me that here was somebody very, very special. Because Al Bristol made friends with everybody. He had no kind of barriers that he would insert into his life. And that became most evident when you see him at work in the auction room, where for many, many years he was our chief spotter, the one who captures the bids that the auctioneer may or may not have seen himself. So that there was Al on your right-hand side, gently pointing out that there was a bid here or a bid there, and in many cases being the conduit for bids from clients who preferred to bid through Al Bristol rather than directly to the auctioneer, and he loved that because he would kind of suddenly emerge with a major bid on a significant work of art.
In the sales room, I had my own calling bids. I had people that I would bid for. Priests, signals, people would know who I was bidding for. As long as I had my pencil back here, I'm bidding, that's a key. As long as I had my legs crossed, I'm bidding.
So there he was on an almost daily basis in the auction room, providing once again the link between Sotheby's, in those days Park Burnett in the early days, between Sotheby's and its clients in a very proactive way.
I knew who was going to buy it before the end of the sale, because I know what he buys, and that, sure enough, most of the times that person would buy it. Most of the times, you know the people. You learn so many people in Sotheby's. The president, Carter, Staffordshire, he would buy it.
But that wasn't enough for Al. He was also kind of the center of our social lives. I remember in the early years how he used to invite the English, particularly those of us who professed to be good at tennis, out to play tennis with him. He was already in his 60s and 70s and would wipe the court with fiendish shots all over the place. He never seemed to have to run. One spent the whole time running to try and fetch the shots that Al had placed fiendishly in the corners of the court. I think I beat him on a serve once, but that was a very, very remote chance. So that was, we used to go out there and have our games of tennis with him. And there was, even earlier on, a game of baseball in which the Americans, in which Al was certainly a leader, invited the English to try baseball. We went out to this baseball lot in the Bronx, and none of us had any instructions at all. I assumed that I thought that baseball had been invented by the English in the form of a game called rounders, that all one had to do is go and play rounders, which one had done before, and therefore this one wasn't going to be too hard, slightly easier than cricket, because the ball wasn't quite so hard. So there they all were, including Al, having great pleasure seeing us completely lost in the surroundings of a baseball diamond. And we were all quite good at hitting it, but I got up at bat and hit the ball very hard, high into the sky. So I started running around the bases. I didn't realize it was necessary to touch the bases, and therefore started on my second round before being tagged. This was all followed, of course, by a wonderful meal in a bar somewhere in the Bronx, which I've never been back to, in which we were really introduced to society as it was then led in the Bronx in the early 60s. And so this was quite an introduction to a stiff-lipped Englishman. But we had Al there, and so we didn't worry about any of that. Over the years, I became extremely friendly with Al, and indeed, as an auctioneer, I always used to make a note of when his birthday was coming up. So on one occasion, unknown to him, I ordered a birthday cake with candles. And at the beginning of the auction, I said, we now have a slight interruption while we recognize another of Al's many birthdays. And we didn't even start the announcements. In came the cake, and I said, we're not going to proceed with the auction until Al's blown out all the candles. It was on those sort of occasions that he came into his own, because he loved the attention, but he was so modest about it, he didn't expect it, and you would just see this wonderful smile come over his face when he realized we got him for once. And so it's a huge privilege to be able to thank Al for a very, very important role that he's played in the life of Sotheby's over the last endless years. I'm quite proud of having been with Sotheby's for 50 years, but I'm a piker. I'm not even a beginner compared with Al Bristol. And I'm very proud that he's there, making it impossible for me to beat his record. So Al, happy birthday, and we're really proud of you and we love you greatly.
For my first sale here, I was a little bit nervous because I've been doing them in Europe and I knew what I was doing over there. Here it was different increments, different audience, and all of a sudden when I walked up to the stage, Al came up to me. This was the first time I saw him. I'd heard about him because I've been working at Sotheby's since 1989 and thought that was a pretty good stretch. And then somebody said to me, "Oh my gosh, somebody's been here much longer than you have and knows so many more people in the organization." So there was this mythical aura which Al had built up in my mind. And then he came up to me, and I was a bit nervous before the sale. He put his hand on me and said, "Oh, we're going to be doing fine. We're going to be doing this together." So I'm up on the rostrum, and I'm taking the sale, and I'm taking the bid in front of me, and all of a sudden on my right is Al, and he's shouting out the bids. And I realized, actually, I'm not a great auctioneer. The great auctioneer, which I always thought, the great auctioneer is standing on my right next to me, calling out the bids, knowing the clients, and actually helping me with the first sales. And for those years that we took sales together, it's always been a tremendous joy. I think the other thing which was also amazing to me is to see that here was somebody that everybody in the organization actually loved and cherished. Whether it was Tobias Meyer, whether it were the guys who were working on the floors, whether it's Bill Ruprecht, anybody in this organization knew and loved to work with Al, and loves when Al comes around and talks to us. So great memories for me, and Al, congratulations on my part.
I know Al through the years that I started working for Park Burnett in 1966. I went to Mr. Bristol, since he was my foreman and all, and he instructed me how to do the job and all that, and I was very impressed. because he taught me a lot. He taught me a lot, and I was learning and learning more and more. And since I like history, so I enjoy just working with him, seeing him, how he moved around, how he taught different people, and how he did the cells. Very interesting. And Mr. Bristol, I wish you a good, happy birthday, and say hello to Carol for me. And I hope that you have many, many more, because you are missed. You are missed, and I wish I would see you again, but things happen. So I wish you lots of luck.
I just want to wish you a happy birthday. I have one fond memory with me and you when I was a young guy in 1980. You interviewed me, and you were very pleasant. And as you can see, I'm still here, and I owe a lot to you for the stepping stone at Sotheby's. And you are one of the best men I ever met in this place. And I guess I get a little emotional because we go back so long, but I want to wish you another 100 years of living. Thanks, Al.
I'm one of the junior members of the clan that knew Al Bristol. And I remember his one birthday we had for him. He came up and the guys got together, and I think it was about his 90th birthday. And I guess I'm permitted to say when we bought him a box of Maximum condoms. And first thing he did was point and say, "You did this." But that was a fond memory. He had a kind heart and a great sense of humor. And I wanted to say to you, happy birthday. God bless you, 100 years old. Hope I make it, but may God bless you with many, many more, and peace.
Mr. B, this is a great time for me to say happy birthday to you, and it's been wonderful all these years knowing you, and look to know you in 100 more years.
Meeting Al for the first time. He's actually the person that got me the job here, and that's been 33 years ago. And well, Al, it's been a pleasure working with you, and really all I can say, I wish you another 100 years.
Remember Raoul, the African? You wanted to come with me to Africa to chase elephant. We never get a chance to go, but now that's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. You know we miss you around here. We miss your wisdom and your laugh and everything. Okay, Al? Be good, and may God bless you.
When I first started with Sotheby's, Mr. Al Bristol hired me. And when we were doing the interview, he explained to me what the duties were. And I said, thank you. And I got up and ready to leave, and he said to me, where are you going? I said, he says, we're working tonight. And I had to work. And that's Al for you. And that's how many years that I know him, that he never changed. So I wish you a happy birthday, Al, and many more. And I hope to see you soon.
Personal friend of Al Bristol's because I beat him at tennis when he was 70, you know, and I probably could still beat him now because I'm only 82. Al Bristol is our newly elected Senior Vice Commander of Piermont's Veterans of Foreign War Post 7462, of which he has been a member over 20 years. He's also a member of our Future Planning Committee, and this committee is expected to provide a long-term plan to use our existing resources to immortalize the contributions to the freedom of our country made by our members. Another joyful contribution that Al makes is his wonderful singing voice as part of a trio that I happen to sing also, that sings America's most patriotic songs at our post-public and private events. I told Al that I would try not to embarrass him today, but I thought I'd give you an example of how we sound. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above.
I can't begin to express my admiration for Al in terms of what he's done for the community.